Hey, good morning, everyone. Another beautiful northern Minnesota morning. Looking out the window right now, we've got snow coming down. Looks like we'll be having warmer weather, though, just around the corner. It's going to warm up into the upper 40s, I guess, come Friday. So we're looking at a heat wave. Make sure you got your sunscreen on if you head outside, huh? All right, we're reading today, I believe it's chapter 14. It's called Crying in the Rain. See what this has to bring for us today. Grenade! Grenade! Get down! Big John yelled. Ray dropped flat to the ground. Sergeant Meredith took 2 running steps from everybody else, unhooked his grenade pouch, and chucked it away as hard as he could. Ray had just enough time to scream, "Sergeant!" before. Boom! The pouch exploded, and the sergeant was thrown back against the outside of the tomb like a rag doll. Mud and bits of shrapnel peppered Ray's helmet, but he wasn't hurt. Big John looked up from the muck. "What the heck just happened?" "Sergeant Meredith!" Ray cried. He was up and on his feet and slipping toward the sergeant before anyone else. "It was one of his grenades," Ray told the others. "In his pouch. One of the pins must have got caught on something and worked its way out." Sergeant Meredith had tried to twist away from the blast, but one whole side of him was torn up. He was still alive, though. "Somebody get on the radio and call for a medic," the old man said. "No time," Big John said. He pushed his heavy rifle into Ray's hands, and with one great heave, Big John picked up Sergeant Meredith and threw him onto his shoulder. "He's not going to die here, not like this," Big John told him, and he took off for the camp at a run. Ray and the others ran with him. Sergeant Meredith hung over Big John's shoulder, his unconscious face turned to the side, facing Ray. Sergeant Meredith was the one who'd taught him how to survive. Sergeant Meredith was the one who'd given him his nickname. Sergeant Meredith was the one who had listened when Ray had argued for the Okinawans. Sergeant Meredith was the one who had taught Ray how to grieve for the death of a soldier. Ray just hoped he wasn't going to have to grieve for Sergeant Meredith. Back at camp, the medics whisked Sergeant Meredith away. Ray and his squad waited on pins and needles for word on Sergeant Meredith's condition. News of a death finally came that day. But it wasn't Sergeant Meredith. It was Franklin D. Roosevelt, the President of the United States, had died of a stroke. Ray sat down on his helmet, stunned. Roosevelt had been President of the United States since Ray was 6 years old. FDR had led America into war after the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor in 1941. Less than a year ago, he had been reelected to a 4th term. He's the only president in United States history to ever be elected the 4 terms. And they made a law shortly after that where a president could only be elected to 2 terms. Okay, but he'd been president for 4 terms, each term 4 years, so 16 years. President Roosevelt had been president. Let's see now, where was I? Yep, 4th term, which had never happened before with any U.S. president. Roosevelt was well liked and respected among the Marines. A lot of them around the camp were shaken up by the news, and Ray saw 1 or 2 of them crying. Ray felt more shocked than anything. "It's Jap propaganda," Gonzalez said. "It has to be." "Nope, it came in over the radio from the ships offshore," the captain told him. "It's real." "Who's in charge now? Vice President Truman?" Gonzalez asked. "What do you think he'll be like?" "Doesn't matter," Big John said sourly. "Losing the sergeant means more than losing some politician off in Washington. The president dying don't change a dang thing for any of us here on Okinawa." "We don't know the sergeant is dead yet," Ray argued. "Nope, but you saw him. Even if he lives, he's not coming back. After all those battles he's lived through, to go out like that. Big John shook his head. Still doesn't mean we can't be sad about the president, the old man said. But Big John just shrugged. Grenade! Someone yelled, and suddenly a live grenade plopped into the muck at their feet. What next, huh, guys? What? How? Ray thought, but before he or anyone else could leap away and drop flat, the grenade went off with an ear-splitting bang! Ray jumped out of his skin, and some of the other guys screamed, but the grenade hadn't exploded. The top had blown off of it, but its iron pineapple shell was still intact. Ray staggered back. He didn't understand what was going on. One of the recent replacement troops, Private Wilbert Zimmer, golfed nearby. I thought I shook all the powder out, but I guess there was a little left in there after all, he crowed. But he was the only one laughing. The grenade had just been a prank. The grenade had just been a prank? Ray felt like he'd almost had a heart attack. He put a hand on a tree to steady himself. Big John bellowed with rage and charged Zimmer, tackling him hard. Big John battered the private with his powerful fists until Ray and the old man and 3 others could finally pull him off. Private Zimmer's face was purple and his eyes were swollen shut. I was only joking, he blubbered. Nobody got hurt. Sergeant Meredith was nearly killed by a grenade today, you idiot, Gonzalez told him. I didn't know, Zimmer said. I didn't know. Ray woke to relieve Big John on second watch late that night. The rain was still pouring down like heaven was crying for President Roosevelt and for everyone they'd lost so far in the war. Word came down while you were sleeping? Big John whispered. Let me read that again. Word came down while you were sleeping, Big John whispered to Ray. The sergeant made it. He's got his golden ticket. What we all want, medical evacuation to a hospital in Hawaii. Ray wasn't sure he wanted to get hit by a grenade like Sergeant Meredith, even if it did mean a ticket to Hawaii. But hearing the sergeant was going to live took a huge weight off Ray. His fitful sleep in the foxhole had been full of nightmares about exploding grenades. And even though Sergeant Meredith wouldn't be coming back, Ray felt like the sergeant was still with him, in a way. Not his ghost, he wasn't dead, but his spirit, maybe. Like a part of the sergeant would always stay with him. Who's our new sergeant going to be? Ray whispered. You're looking at him, Big John whispered back. Big John had been given a field promotion from corporal to sergeant. He was their squad leader now. Big John settled back into the foxhole and closed his eyes. Sergeant Meredith got out just in time. We've been ordered to the front lines. First thing in the morning, he opened his eyes to look at Ray. Everything we've been through ain't nothing compared to what comes next. All right, we'll stop it there today, huh? Tune in again tomorrow. Hope you guys are enjoying things so far. Have a good day. Bye.